This camera's rolling. Hopefully no one texts me or checked out. No! No! What's up?
You see?
What?
Why you said no?
Because you called me right when I started recording. What?
That was actually hilarious. No.
Anyways, I did a clap. That's fine. All right, start off with your name. I guess you can start off with your name, age if you want.
Name is Stanley Lewis. 34, soon to be 35 years old next month. And yeah.
Okay. And the name of the short, it's a feature film, correct?
Yeah, it's a feature film. It's actually called Eyes of Deception by Kyle Pratt. We were talking about Ryan Coogler earlier, so it kind of threw my I was throwing a bunch of different names together. My man Kyle Pratt. It's a great project. Took us a while to do, but I'm happy we're able to wrap it up. So.
Okay. When you say a while, what do you mean by a while? Like a year, 2 years?
Man,
15.
So I'm gonna take you on a trip.
Okay.
If you're okay with that.
That's
So
fine.
so basically, I put in for it was a casting call, and I put in for a little role in the movie, and I got to do a table read, like a live table read, and what ended up happening was that was in 2020. At the beginning of COVID, while everything was still like just very fresh and very new, what happened was I had that role, and then because of a lot of things that happened with my job, I was unable to fulfill what I needed to, and they actually moved on from me from that spot. Fast forward a little bit, what ended up happening was one of the lead role actors wasn't able to fulfill his because he had some other obligations that he had to do. And then it was like a lot of time constraints because trying to shoot on certain locations, they couldn't get clearances from places due to COVID. Mm-hmm. So they ended up putting like a lot of the filming on the back burner. And then I ended up getting a call to now be in that lead spot, which was crazy. And fortunately, I was able to get it. And then we would go through that a lot, where we would get a location for something, and then last minute they would back out or something like that. I don't know if it was insurance purposes or anything like that. And so something that probably should have taken maybe 6 months, six to 8 months, ended up taking 3 years.
3 years.
3 years. But listen, I was very happy to be a part of that ride. Every day shooting was like a joy for me. So that's not something that I would trade for anything. It was a great experience. My first experience, my first film, and I loved every second of it. So as annoying as it is to have people ask you when the movie's coming out because they knew you've been filming it for about 3 years, I'm finally happy to say, from what I've been told, it's supposed to be coming out in October.
October.
Yes.
No date in particular, just
right now, I didn't get any tentative date, but they told me October is when they're looking for the release. They wanted to do like maybe around like Halloween.
Halloween?
Yeah, so around that time period.
Okay.
So fingers crossed that we stay on that, because last time I talked to them, they were in post-production and they put out a teaser. So a trailer should be following, like a full trailer should be following on pretty soon.
Okay. All right. I won't lie. This is my first interview with like a family member. So this.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're my cousin.
Yeah. Right. So this is a little different. Usually I interview like people who I have losing relations to, or like the closest I got was my best friend, but that's the closest I got. So this is different. So the question I'm gonna ask you is like being a Haitian American, Asian background, American born kid. Do you have any difficulties or issues doing this role, or any like mental, emotional setbacks or drawbacks?
So no, only because by the time I figured out that I wanted to pursue acting, I was already living on my own. I already had my own family. So there wasn't really much somebody could say. Like, I didn't go out of my way to like tell my mom, my aunt, but that was mostly because I didn't feel like hearing the chirping, you know what I mean? And then with our other cousin's experience when he was doing acting and modeling, he didn't get the greatest reception to that, and one thing about being the son of a foreigner, I can definitely say that their emphasis is always on education, which is not a problem. I actually back that. I understand it, but they don't really understand the concept of going after something that you would consider a dream if they don't believe it to be obtainable, right? So becoming a doctor is obtainable if you just do all the classes. You know, if you're a lawyer, do all the, like everything that requires you to take tests and everything, that's obtainable. And they know once you complete this, there's a strong chance that you'll financially be okay. Whereas acting and other things that they would consider to be lazy or whatever, they just don't see it. And then until you make it, that's when everything changes, because when you are able to make it and become successful, that's when, you know, a lot of that becomes quiet because there's just nothing you can say, right? So prime example for me is, I think of Johnny, our cousin Johnny, right? And he's out there in LA doing music, you know, and in the beginning, there was a lot of questionable things from people outside of his immediate circle. And then as soon as you hear about him being part of Grammys and everything, because his team is producing for artists like Lil Wayne and all that, then all of a sudden it's, oh, did you see he's on the Oscars? I mean, he's at the Grammys and this, that, and the third. And it's like, yeah, that's what happens when you pursue your dreams, you know? And that's what it kind of, I'm mad it came late for me, but to me, it was like no time like the present. And as long as I had the support of, you know, the people in my immediate circle, you know, that was more important to me, because I don't live with my mom anymore. So I can just leave and go to my house and I'll be fine. If I tried this a lot, which I actually believe, I don't know, you know, I say that, but at the same time, I will give my mom credit. My mom's always been a very understanding person, because I've gone through a lot of different changes in my life, and she kind of did try to help me. So I don't know how she would have reacted. Maybe if I took acting seriously at a younger age, she probably would have helped me do that, because then she would have saw that this is something that I'm passionate about. I don't know. For the most part, it always seems like all the conversations I've had with people who also have, you know, foreign parents, all say the same thing. Like, you get engineer, lawyer, doctor, some type of business thing, and anything with music or movies, or that's not real. You know, it's not tangible. So I didn't get any pushback, but again, I think it's just because of when I started to do it, if that makes sense. Okay,
so then hypothetically speaking, you think that, or feel like if you still live with your mom, would have gotten some pushback?
Yeah, I think if I started and I was still living with her, I probably would have gotten a little pushback, and then I would have had to take me actually showing the effort for her to maybe, I don't know, allow me to do what I wanted, if that makes sense. You know, like I said, she's been very accepting to the things that I tried to do. I actually tried to do some photography type of stuff real early. I was at the art school in Philadelphia, and that didn't work out, and she helped me get in there, you know. So it's hard to say. I can't lump my mom in all the same categories, but I know there's some tendencies that still remain just based on how she came up and where the culture is, you know. And making it out of Haiti, I mean, we've heard all the stories, right? And so you don't make it out of Haiti by becoming a movie star. You know, you know, this person is an engineer. You know, this person's a doctor. You know, those are the things that you typically hear. So if you tell them you want to be in movies or TV shows and all that, that's not real. You know, so, and they kind of mock you about it too. So, but luckily there wasn't something I had to deal with, but I've seen it, and so I try to avoid it. If that makes sense.
No, it does. Makes total sense. In my opinion, you've been blessed in that sense.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. That was yeah, man, just watching, like I said, I brought up, you know, Chris, he was, I don't know, he kind of fell out of it as far as like what he wanted to do, which is fine. But I personally think that part had a little part to do with it. Mm-hmm. That when you don't have a support system that's propping you up or don't think you can do it, you start to self-doubt yourself, and you ask yourself, can I actually do it? Nobody else believes I can do it, so maybe I can. So it kind of helps you fall out of love with it, if that, you know what I mean? So for me, I've always loved movies, and, you know, I watch movies 12 times in a row. I recite lines. If we watch Independence Day, which right now, I'm telling you, we will not go through the whole movie without me saying something. I would be literally saying every line. Doesn't matter who the actor is. I know scene. You can play one sound and I'll tell you what's happening in that scene. Like, that's how much I love, like, film. You know, TV shows. Boy Meets World, I've seen every episode. Fresh Prince, I've seen every episode. Like, these are things that I've always cared about. And so now, when I watch when I watch these things, I don't watch them the same way other people do. So I don't watch it for the actual entertainment. I'm watching like the actor and, oh, that's what he did with his face, or oh, I like that facial expression. And that's something that I've noticed that I was doing even before I started acting, you know? And so like when I would imitate or practice these are things that I did in the mirror, you know? And it's just like, dang, man, I wish I did this earlier because I might be so much further ahead. I'm not saying I would be, you know, in a Tyler Perry movie or in Hollywood, but maybe I'd be further along because I'm still learning right now, you know? And I went to a school that was very big on, you know, art, but I was the typical, I got to be a tough guy. I play football and just that and the third. I used to rap and all that stuff. So it's like, I can't go acting. I can't be in theater. Kidding me?
I mean, but in some degree or some aspect, you were acting.
Yes. Well, yeah, you know, it's funny because you're right. I was acting because I was kind of putting on a little role for everybody, I guess. But I don't know, at the time, I guess I felt like it was me. So I felt like this is who I had to be. So, maybe it was some early method acting that I didn't even know about.
Or you were just the perfect actor. Like, legit, you were that good.
Yeah. Yeah. I went too deep undercover.
That's a possibility.
I was, yeah. Because I was, yeah, my high school days, I was a handful. I'll say that. But, I mean, you go through things, and then it turns you into who you are. So I can't necessarily be mad at that. Because as many things that if I could go back, I would have changed with how I, went about school in general. And the different times I would have smacked myself upside the head just to be more just focused on stuff. At the same time, I think going through that is what led me to say, okay, I can never go back to that. You know what I mean? And it's like now I realize those were a lot of mistakes that I can preach on to my kids, right? To try to tell them, hey, I've been down this road and it doesn't really lead anywhere. So you're better off actually just trying to do what you're supposed to do now, which will benefit you in the future, instead of trying to play catch up. So it's a life lesson.
Okay. I mean, so one of my favorite artists, Prince, right? And someone asked him, just because you're talking about things in the past, you would change this if you could change that. Prince once said he wouldn't change anything. I'm going to paraphrase. Mm-hmm. He said, for him, every day is a brick by brick to where he is right now.
Yeah.
So what? I guess my question is, why would you want to change anything if you've gotten all this right now?
Well, I mean, because it's revisionist history, because you know where it leads to,
mm-hmm.
right? So you would want to save yourself from going through certain things. But it's one of those, it's like a double-edged sword. So I know that I needed to go through that. So I got to where I was now. But just because of how it was for my mom,
mm-hmm.
right? Because I was always getting suspended. I was always just doing things that I really had no business doing. You know what I mean? Just because I felt like I had to put on a show for everybody. So I'm in school and, I didn't study for a test. So the teacher hands me the test and I tell them I'm not taking the test. I don't know why I did it. I just did it, and it's just it's like low-key embarrassing, and then you get kicked out of class and now you're gone for insubordination and then you get suspended for, okay, let's say that happens Monday. This is a true story. I'm not going to, this is not hyperbole or anything like this. I get suspended on Monday. So I'm gone for Tuesday, right? I did two things on Monday. So I did the insubordination and something else. You take your pick for whatever the other thing was. So I get suspended on Monday. So I missed Tuesday. Come back Wednesday. Oh, by the way, you have a referral for what you did on Monday also. You're suspended again for the next Tuesday. I was coming back from suspension just to get suspended again. This is the stuff that I'm saying that you don't want to put a parent through because it was unnecessary. And that's what I mean by I would change certain things or just try maybe a little bit more in school, just maybe study just a little bit more. Not being an A student is okay, but come on, I was way better than what I should have been. Because when I actually tried, I was getting the grades that I needed. It was just a matter of actually paying attention and focusing, and just go to summer school and all just a lot of things that I was low-key embarrassed. I didn't get a chance to graduate with my class. You know what I mean? And it's I had to graduate in the summer. And I remember they had a cap and gown for, it was a group of us. It was maybe 16, 20 of us. senior year, and they're like, yeah, we have a cap and gown for you. And I was like, I don't want this. And they're like, why? This is a big, I'm like, man, I'm in summer school. This is not, because I didn't see the value in it, because it's like, this is embarrassing to me. Mm-hmm. And then, so I didn't tell my mom about it. And she was like, what do you mean they had a ceremony? I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, why didn't you tell me? And, I was just like, well, because I thought you would be embarrassed, because I was embarrassed. You know what I mean? And it's just like, that's those type of things where you look back and you're just like, dang, man, like, did you have to act like, now that, granted, that wasn't necessarily just all my doing, but I kind of set myself up for it, if that, and so even though it's true, you have to go through those things so that way you know kind of who you are now. It's like, man, if I could have just saved myself maybe a little bit of trouble, I could have still learned the lesson without going so overboard. Okay. So it's just, yeah, I really look back, and it's funny because I'll talk to people from high school, and we'll talk about certain things, and they'll bring up old stuff, and I'll just, and they'll be like, man, you're not the same person, and it's like, yeah, because that person was kind of an asshole, and it's like I don't want to be that person anymore because that wasn't getting me anywhere, and especially now that I have kids, they ask me questions about, how were you in high school, and da 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 da. It's like I don't necessarily want to tell you these things because I don't want you to think that, I don't want you to feel like you have to do that or you can do that now, like, so yeah, that's pretty much what I mean by if I could go back and change. It wouldn't be like a major thing, but maybe little things. Maybe you just pass this class. Just pass. Maybe not get suspended as much. So yeah, that was an interesting time for me.
All right. So besides the this film project coming out, it's supposed to be released in October.
Yeah.
Are there any other projects you are working on either for yourself or anyone else?
So I've done a few table reads. I haven't gotten anything yet to land. There's actually one coming up that I'm gonna try to hopefully get a part of. They're actually shooting in Harrisburg, so that's interesting to me. So I try to see if I can get in there, how that dynamic's gonna work, And I did a table read for them before, and it went really well. And then I think they're doing the second round of it, so I just got a little invite for that. So I'll be trying to do that. I really just put a lot of my focus into Eyes of Deception, because since it was my first one, and maybe I did it wrong, but I really wanted to make sure that my full attention was like giving the best effort that I could, and I didn't want anything else to like distract me. Mm-hmm. So the character that I had to portray is like, I felt like I had to really immerse myself. There was times I'm at home and I'm practicing things in the mirror, and I have to kind of go to a darker place just to get that out. And so there was other opportunities that were around, and I kind of just said, I'm gonna wait on those and try to just put all my focus into this because I felt like it was that important, that it deserved my full attention. So hopefully now this kind of can open the door for me a little bit more, and try to see if I can get more projects going.
Okay. All right. My next question is, could you tell me about your character in Eyes of Deception? Just a little bit, not that, doing it anyway.
Yeah, so I play a character. His name is Richard Wright. Not to give everything away, but he's basically part of a kind of like an organization, crime family type of thing, right? If you want to kind of say like the black mob in a sense. And his father, he has his father, and he's like taking over for his father basically. And then he has his brother. And it's a few twists and turns in there, but basically my character is just he's kind of a ruthless person who kind of sees the world from a very black and white point of view, and just one of his mottos basically is, if you have power, then you can control everything around you. That's what I'm saying. It's not the same as who I am, so it kind of took a lot for me to get there. Especially certain things that I had to do. And it was just like, yeah. And then there's a little bit of, a remorsefulness into him. Like you can kind of see maybe he's not completely, a jerk, but broken, and which a lot of those type of people probably are somehow, some way. Yeah, that's pretty much, not to go too much into it, but that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Would you say that he's like a broken character trying to use power to like hold himself together?
Yeah, very insecure in that in that standpoint where he needs that power to establish himself, because without it, he doesn't think he would have any type of value, right? So you have to be Mr. Brolic all the time because how else are people going to respect you? You know what I mean? So he goes about things in that way to the detriment of people around him and to himself.
All right, so this is my last question. Right, I want you, if you can, speak to yourself in 10 years from now.
10 years from now.
10 years from now, right? Not trying to do 5, not trying to do 15, not do 50. Just 10 years from now, like give you like I guess like more or less like write like a letter to yourself, like what you want to do, your hopes, dreams.
Okay, so future Stan, continue to take advantage of opportunities in front of you. For a while, we hesitated on opportunities, and luckily for us, other doors were opened. But that doesn't mean that's going to happen all the time, so you have to take advantage of that. Also, just really be grateful of the people around you, because those are people who support you, and you have to really value what they're bringing to the table and how much stability they bring to you. Because without them, you wouldn't be where you at, and you wouldn't be the person that you are. So just continue to do that, and hopefully we're in a better place than we are now. So that's pretty much it.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
That's it. I got no more questions.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Thanks.
Very fun.